All right, everyone. Hello. It's been a while. Welcome back to another episode of Formula Yap. Yes, it has been a while. I'm Elbert.
And I'm Kevin.
Like I said, it's been a hot minute, so there's a lot to catch up on. But honestly, all that stuff's in the past. Has been a while. How you been, Kevin? It has been a minute since we talked. Just
I've been
before recording, we were just talking about me, but I'm a very selfless person. You guys don't need to hear about my life. So, Kevin, tell the people a little bit about what you've been up to since we last got in our last episode.
just enjoying summer break, and enjoying some of that time off. Visited a national park, saw sequoia, those big trees. So that was really cool.
All right.
Was able to spend some time with family, eat a lot because there was a lot of good food outside the park. So it was good. It was good. And what about you? You were by the coast, huh?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, I was in Hawaii. I mean, let's see. Obviously, enjoyed the summer break. Yeah, I do not remember the last time we dropped an episode. But I think I see. Been to a wedding, Vegas wedding. It's always nice. Cooked as hell over there. Been working, and then just got back from a trip to Hawaii with some peeps. So it's always a good vibe. It's always a good vibe as it is. But obviously that weekend, the weekend I went to Hawaii was the weekend of the Italian Grand Prix at the Temple of Speed in Monza. So Hawaii time, as if mainland Americans couldn't be asked to wake up early in the morning for a European F1 race. Uh, I had to be up super early. I believe the race started at like 3 a.m. Hawaii time, so I got right up and watched the whole race and decided to watch it again just to make sure I remembered what happened. Uh, so definitely not the best time of the trip, but it
Mhm.
was a very exciting race. We're gonna get right to the chase here, right? Charles Leclerc, uh, and Ferrari. I don't think anyone was expecting them to be at the end of the weekend to be where they were, right? I mean, the talk heading into the race itself was McLaren, qualifying 1-2, but that wasn't how it went to be. Charles Leclerc and Ferrari just masterclass what they put on that weekend.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. Yeah, so for those that didn't get to watch the race, or just a refresher, the top five was Leclerc, Piastri, Norris, Sainz, Hamilton. For those wondering where the Red Bulls were, 6 and 8, with Verstappen leading that. A nice surprise was Albon in ninth, Magnussen in 10th. And as always, Sonoda crashed out, not crashed out, but he DNF'd. Stroll last place, of course, no surprise. Guan Yu, no surprise. And yeah, it was a pretty straightforward race. Actually, that's not true. It was not a straightforward race at all. There was a lot of overtakes, a lot of swapping of places. This was a very strategic race where the teams really showcased their strengths, others showcased their weaknesses, and a few, like McLaren, showcased how it's not always just a matter of who's the best, who has the best car. It really is about team management or lack thereof. So the big headline of the race was McLaren papaya rules. When
Oh,
team orders were told free to race, papaya rules. So what does that mean? What happened there, Albert?
ooh, well, papaya rules. That's as if papaya rules. That's I guess this mod is our version of Multi 21, the infamous Malaysia 2013 a team order debacle between Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber, who ironically is one of the Papaya Rules drivers managers now. But we'll dig into that later. So what happened pretty much, right? Lando once again bottles the start, lap one. leave it to Lando to bottle another fucking start, right? And Oscar just goes for a move on, I believe it was on lap 1 into that second chicane, and just it was very tight. He took it on the inside and just went for it and took the lead from there. And Lando had to take evasive action. It looked like that from at least what I saw, because he thought he was going to crash and ended up losing a spot to Charles in the Ferrari, who, like as I said earlier, masterclass. See, but we'll get to them later, right? So just, my God, McLaren is just, like I said, leave it up to Lando to bottle a, you know, a pole position, right? But then to just let them race, to let them race like that, to have what Oscar did. There's people out there that are saying, "Oh, they should have held team orders." Blah 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 blah. I mean, you could do that, but it's lap 1 of the fucking race, right? Like, there's no way you're gonna be able to control your driver's lap 1. Like, you're fighting for position. So I think, you know McLaren trying to put team orders that early is kind of a joke. Actually, not kind of, very much a joke. Shows how indecisive they are with their strategy, with their team decision, and we see that later on as well in the race. But simultaneously, we also see Oscar just no shits given, right? Like, he doesn't care about no team orders. I mean, like I said, look at his manager. Who's his manager? Mark Webber at Red Bull. He's living with the scars of team orders, having the best car in 2009 and the early 2010s, to not have been able to get a world championship because he had to pretty much bend his back for one young German by the name of Sebastian Vettel. I, it's.
Do you want to quickly explain what happened in that infamous race between Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber, that 3-3?
Yes, the multi 2-1. I'll try to sum it up best I can, right? For a new fan, I mean, like I said, I'm a new fan. I didn't watch F1 back then. I'm pretty sure everyone listening, or mostly everyone listening, wasn't even watching F1 back then. But long story short, right? They were ordered to swap positions, Weber and Vettel, and or hold position, I believe, was
Yeah. Mark
what it
Webber
was.
was leading the race. Sebastian
Hmm.
Vettel was right behind him. It was a
Second.
1-2. Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel get uh, the order: don't race, keep it under a 3-3, and just finish the race 1-2. There's no need to swap. And what happens next, Elbert?
Oh, Seb overtakes. Long story short, Seb overtakes. Weber gets pissed. Sebastian's excuse is, you know, he was gonna crash into me. He was gonna go off the racing line, or I was gonna crash. I have to defend, right? Typical. It seemed to be the typical Seb excuse back in the day. And obviously he had the full backing of Christian Horner and the Red Bull. Weber couldn't do anything because, I mean, Weber was the golden boy in Red Bull's golden era, right? In the 2010s. So tough shit, I suppose. Not much you can do, but not much Weber could do. So pretty sure Oscar's noticing that now with, or Mark's seeing that now with Oscar and the Lando dynamic at McLaren, and Mark's like, I'm not letting you live through the hell that I lived through. You could probably do this in an Australian accent just before we hopped on. You did an amazing, again, Australian accent. You probably do this, say that line better than I can. Um, just to fully embody the Mark Webber character here.
Yeah, mate, Oscar. Yeah. Um, I don't want you to lose the race like I did. So you got to beat that British guy. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's verbatim how it went down.
100%.
Please do quote me. That is a direct quote from Mark Webber, I believe.
That's definitely going on. We're definitely
Beat that
putting.
British guy. I think that's what he said.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he probably said some other unkind words that, but we're trying to get monetized. We're trying to get monetized here, so um, let's save it for that. But like I said, so obviously the team orders, the indecisiveness, and then obviously the McLaren, obviously mostly everyone, right? Everyone pretty much went for a 2-stop at minimum, Um, right. The only team that didn't do that was Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, and both Charles and Carlos Sainz, for that matter, both went on a one stop. Um, Leclerc absolutely spot with the tire management. He pitted, he went for the undercut, pitted early a lap before the McLaren of Oscar Piastri did, but just his tire management was spot on. If you were watching the onboards, you could his onboard, you could hear his engineer and Charles talking about, once they saw the graining on the tire, how to manage the driving just so that it wouldn't grain as more. And you could see in the driving style as well. You could see the touch, that the other driver, like the other front runners, like Lando and Oscar weren't having, and Carlos for his part in helping, Charles take the win on home soil for the Scuderia, held up Oscar and Lando as long as he could, and he committed to the one stop just like Charles did. He played the team game beautifully there. And I don't think you could ask for anything more. Obviously, it would have been nice to have a 1-2 finish for Ferrari, but I think with Carlos playing the team game is probably the next best thing you could ask for there. And I think this, if anything, shows the kind of decisiveness that you need, right? Or just that that I don't want to say decisiveness and that aggression, because you have to be, or I mean, I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to get at here. Right? You need to be able to play around, like be dynamic with it, because obviously McLaren went for the two stop. Leclerc and Ferrari were like, should we, you know, follow them along and continue that fight, or should we take a gamble and just stick with the tires? Stick with what we've got. Hopefully, we don't shit the bed. Right? They took a gamble, and it worked out for them. And that's the thing in F1, especially with strategy, right? You sometimes have to take a gamble. McLaren, even though they've got the fastest car, they've got two very fast drivers. They seem to still be in this reactive state where they're reacting to stuff going around them rather than being proactive. And when they are being proactive, they're doing it unnecessarily. Like if you look, right, like in towards the second half of the race, like Oscar was in the lead, very much, comfortably in the lead, ahead of Leclerc, right? Both of them pitted around the same time, so both Oscar and Charles could have gone for the one stop, right? But the radio message comes up. Engineer asks Oscar, "Hey, do you think you can go? And can you go to the end, pretty much, with these tires?" Oscar says, "I don't think so. Front left's cooked." Right. So, I mean, driver knows best, obviously. You could see it as well on the onboard. That front left was fucking cooked, bro. Look, you could see the rubber falling off like Parmesan cheese on a grater. So he had to come in. Leclerc, master the tire whisperer that he was this race, was like, you know, no, we don't need to do that. And you hear him and him and his engineer talking back and forth about, how to drive differently to manage that wear on the front tire, and it, it's remarkable. And like I said, it goes to show how proactive you need to be. How proactive you need to be, how reactive you need to be. And it seems like McLaren have got it aren't in that window yet, because they're mostly reactive, and when they are proactive, they're doing it unnecessarily. I don't think they needed to pit against, in the lead with a decent, buffer to Leclerc and Sainz, with Lando behind. I don't think Piastri needed to pit. I think they should have taken the risk, right, and kept them out on a one stop to force Ferrari into that position, right? Because McLaren have the speed, McLaren had the pace all weekend. They should have been able to, stay out, force Ferrari in, and then play from that. But they jumped first. And there's one thing you don't want to do they folded first. There's one thing you don't want to do in F1 or just anything in general is you don't want to be the first one to fold because that opens up everyone else around you to, you know, do something different or learn from that and just make their decision based off of what you just done.
Yeah.
Right.
So to everyone that may be wondering, like what on earth is going on, um, or what does all this mean? Chances are you joined the sport around the same time that I did, or maybe even if it was just a slight bit earlier. What's happened over the past about 10 years has lulled us into a has lulled us into a different understanding of what about what Formula One actually is. And so we haven't been able to witness the massive amount of nuance and strategy and thinking that comes into every single race. And the reason is because for the longest time, and like I said, for about the past, let's say 7 years, most races have been predetermined, right? Uh, be, because of the teams within themselves, but B, just because about the massive discrepancy in performance, right? So going back to uh, let's say the last time there was infighting within a major team was 2016. That was the last time we saw McLaren fight within themselves. Rosberg won out, but then left the sport, leaving Hamilton, Bottas, clear number two driver, no infighting. A few races, sure, but still, Hamilton clear number one. You cut to Verstappen and Checo, clear number one, clear number two. There really was no infighting, and even where there was infighting, Verstappen won out. And these races really were predetermined. The three championships that Verstappen won, everyone knew he was going to win. There was that first controversial one with Hamilton where that one was a bit of a toss up, but even then it was always between those two. So there's been a lot of mix up, right? So we cut to where we are today. This race, not predetermined. It was really level. We have McLaren who has the best car, but maybe not the best strategy or not the best drivers, even though they're strong drivers, not the best. You have Ferrari who really strong, really experienced, really vicious drivers. Vicious, I'm using that term loosely. They're not mean. They're really aggressive. These are great drivers. You have a Red Bull who's the contender, the leader, but struggling with their car for some reason. That's a whole other thing,
Yep.
right? So there's all this nuance, and there was this nuance in this race. You add the extra layer. What kind of track is it? What kind of driver is more successful in a track like this, right? So
Mhm.
there's all this nuance, and now the third layer, which is where the big discussion: a number one, a number two driver. Does McLaren need a number one, number two driver? Is that the custom of the sport? A lot of us say yes because of what we have seen, but the truth is that's not always the case. Most teams say, you know what, we'll give you both really great cars and we're going to let you two figure it out amongst themselves. And the way it works is that they're both teammates, so they kind of just help each other one race, help each other another, kind of depending on who is doing better, right? Uh, and we have flashbacks to where it doesn't always work out, right? Going back to Red Bull, we have the Verstappen, Daniel and Ricardo infighting, which led to many races that were botched because of a crash. We have, again, we referenced that Weber and Vettel incident where team orders say one thing and they fight it, right? But that the thing is, more often than not, teams have started to implement that because there's a clear goal of wanting to win, and they want their driver to win, so they let it wait to see who's doing better, and then it's all about helping them achieve the championship. But it wasn't always that way. And I think sometimes people forget that. And so a big discussion this weekend was, why is McLaren botching this? Why aren't they setting clear orders? What's going on with Weber and Piastri, since Weber's managing Piastri? Fun fact, Mark Webber is Piastri's manager. So, like, what's going on? And you got to realize this is not exactly new for McLaren, right? They had the Alonso Hamilton fighting, but McLaren right now does not know what direction they want to go in. They had kind of given up hope on Lando, right? They
Mm.
didn't know whether he had the potential. Now they're realizing they did. They brought Oscar Piastri knowing he has the potential, knowing he's a brilliant driver. And so now they're like, wait, what direction are we going to go in? And I would say, I would warn fans, you're going to see a lot of this. And I think another reason why there's a lot of speculation is because a lot of people love Lando. And they're wondering that since he's in second place in the championship, why aren't they supporting him a little more? And you got to remember that even though McLaren has a lot of money, a crash is very costly. And chances are, when there's a really aggressive racing and fighting, it ends in a lot of crashes. It really does. It's inevitable in the sport. Fighting leads to crashes. Again, I'm generalizing, but if you go back and look at those years, Hamilton and Verstappen, Hamilton and Alonso, Hamilton and Vettel and I forget who his major opponents were in the 4 years that he won. Schumacher. If you go back and look at the Schumacher days in the early 2000s, a lot of crashes, a lot of mishaps that happened through racing. That's why team orders were established, so that
Yep.
at least if there is a need for racing, it doesn't happen in the team, because now you're two cars out instead of one car out. You know what I mean? But get ready to see a lot of racing, because McLaren, both drivers have as much of a chance as the other to win the championship. And so, for any new fans out there, this is what the sport used to look like before. You know, a lot of just sometimes races that were botched either by strategy or just sometimes, let's admit it, people have forgotten Leclerc is a great driver with great instinct, and people have seemed to forgot about that. I'm glad he's back to show us that he's the Prince of Monaco, baby. Well deserved, earned that title. So
Yeah.
it really is. It's like, this is what happens. Like, this is how a race goes sometimes. You know, it's you go back, you take it on the chin, and you come back. You know,
Mm. Oh, this is how every race should be. That's the beauty of competition, right? Is that every race should be
exactly.
competitive. I mean, obviously in Formula One with development and budget and all that stuff, there are going to be you're going to have your tiers, right? Your front runners, your midfield, your back markers. But with what we're seeing now, there's no clear front runner. There's no clear favorite like we had with Red Bull at the start of the crowd effect there, or Mercedes, if we go back to the start of the V6 turbo hybrid era back in 2014, right? Um, we're starting to see convergence in this rule set now. We're a couple years into this ground effect era, where the teams are starting to figure things out, and they're getting ever closer to each other. And as fans, that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. You guys cannot see me, but I have. If you guys are into other sports, I have I have a par. I have a my damn duck. I have a parlay going on. I'm banking on this quarterback getting one more passing yard to hit my parlay. But anyways, I saved that conversation. Um, I know we're on a like I said, the tempo of speed. Like this race, tempo of speed. We speed ran through this as fast as we could. Try to cover pretty much what we thought was most important. But before we let you go, before we get off, I did want to cover um, FP1 a little bit, and we finally got what we were waiting for. I think the worst kept secret, honestly. Kimi Antonelli uh, made his long-awaited F1 debut for Mercedes, and then obviously the day after that was announced as the second driver. So Mercedes seats are both filled for next year, but that goes without a little bit of I don't want to say controversy, but that goes a little bit without saying that.
And sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'll let you keep going. But also, I don't know if you guys noticed that uh, uh, an American is no longer on the grid. Logan
Shut up!
Sargent dropped.
Shut up! 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 Shut up!
Breaking.
I'm a Logan fan.
I
I
know
have so
fans
much
can't
to
see
say
this.
about it.
Uh, Elbert is wearing a Logan Sargent shirt. Um, I'm really upset by this news.
I think we all are.
For many reasons, we won't get into it right now.
Yep.
Uh, makes no sense business wise.
Mm-mm.
Whatever. Go ahead. Take us away with Kimi Antonelli before I crash this one.
Before you crash this part. Well, no. For you bring up crash. He crashed after just 1.5 laps into FP1, brought out the red flag, destroyed George Russell's new floor, which is kind of weird that he took George Russell's car and not Lewis's new car. But hey, I'm not Toto Wolff. I'm not, you know, Kimi Antonelli's manager. Oh wait, Kimi Antonelli's manager is Toto Wolff. Yeah, so I'm not Toto Wolff. I don't decide who I want to put in, the car or whose car I want to put Antonelli in. But uh, if you watched FP1, it was actually kind of impressive. He was the first one on the track, and just right out the gate, bro set the fastest lap on obviously the soft tire, purple, purple, purple. Went on the school lap, and then immediately right into another fast lap. And he was on track to set another top the charts again in that second lap, blistering pace. But final corner, just lost the rears, carried too much speed in that corner, just and spun right out, crashed and crashed. I don't know if you saw this, but I saw this post. I wanted to post in the outline, but I didn't send it to you, Kevin. It was a picture. I don't know if I did send it to you. I might have sent it to one of my other F1 friends, but it was on the F1 subreddit, right? Immediately after, or just like, I believe immediately after, like after, right after FP1 ended or something. If I can find it, it was like, it was pretty much saying like Antonelli crashes, one of the top voted things on the subreddit for that day. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Um, you can't see my screen. I'll post the picture. I'll post the picture and send it to you. Right. It's Antonelli crashes in FP1. Obviously, there's his car jacked up. He's walking off the track. Right. But I, I found it funny. Maybe it's just my humor. My this joke is layered. You have to understand. Right. You have to understand the joke. If you let me know when you see it, and once you do, I will try to explain it as best I can to our audio listeners. Please tell me you see it. I beg you, please tell me
Dude,
you see it. Please tell me you see it. Please,
the picture you
please.
sent me?
Yeah,
Ant. Oh my god, that's funny. The ant pointing at his crashed car.
I'm
Oh
saying,
my
bro. That's what
god.
I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying, bro. And then the comments on the on that Reddit post, on the image post, are hilarious. I'm trying to find a funny one. Yeah, one of the top comments: the damage banner saying "Ant is hilarious." Reply: the fact there's an arrow pointing at the car makes it better too.
It's
Oh, it's
hilarious.
hilarious. Oh, it's hilarious. That's pretty much it. But
You can't write
I
this. You
mean,
can't write this because it's over
can't
the
script.
top if someone were to create this.
You can't script
This
this.
is
Like I said,
so hilarious.
you can't script this. You actually can't script this, right? It was fun. It was funny. I said I didn't watch FP1 because I think I was in Hawaii. It was like 2 a.m. at the time, right? And I tuned into it at the start, watched it. I was like, ooh, Antonelli's looking good. Then he crashed, and I went, okay, okay. Oh, that's all I wanted to see. Turned off my iPad, went right back to bed. I was like, all I wanted to see was Antonelli, and he only got like 12 minutes in before he decides to crash the car. I was like, all right, well, I should probably get some sleep. Um, but yeah, just I mean,
And
I
it
don't know,
goes
just
it, it goes to show just how elevated F1 is as a sport, Kimi Antonelli is a great driver.
Oh
And it
yeah,
just goes
hundred
to
percent.
show how these machines, even if you're a good driver, they're beasts that are hard to control.
Oh, they are 100%.
Yeah,
100% they
so
are.
no, but that's hilarious. That's so funny. Ah, poor Antonelli. We'll see you
Yeah.
next year, buddy.
Well, yeah, we'll see you next year. Hopefully, we have more. Hopefully, that sponsor, Globant or whoever they are, I don't know who the hell they are. I don't
Sponsors
keep
him.
up with
That'd be funny.
who are Globant actually. Because let's see who they're. Oh, there's some fucking.
Private equity firm.
No, they're AI. Let's see. What does Wikipedia
Oh,
say? You ready?
jeez.
You ready? You ready? Hear this? They are Wikipedia says they are an IT and software development company operating in Argentina, Colombia, Uruguay, the United Kingdom, and a bunch of other countries. I don't care. Of course, the first country comes up is Argentina, and of course, well, you bring it up, the American got replaced by an Argentinian, but
Yep.
I'll rant about that in our next episode. Uh, I think that's it for the speed run. Like I said, Tempo Monza, fastest track on the F1 calendar, I believe. Just like this episode, the fastest or shortest episode in our short life as a podcast duo so far. So
But we are
that's
back.
it.
We are back,
Yes, we are so
and
back. Yes, we are so back.
so
In
expect the content.
parentheses,
Expect the
uh,
content.
we say that we are so back. In parentheses, we're not recording any more episodes the rest of the
We're
fucking.
we're we're back in the same way that Logan Sargent is back.
When I see you, you say that, you don't disrespect. When I see you, Kevin, next time I'm gonna smack the shit out of you for that, just for that statement. I'm gonna
we're
let you know
we're
that right now.
we're we're back in the way. We're back in the way Mark Webber is back in the sport. You know, behind the
Yeah,
scenes
yeah. You
somehow.
know what? Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. And that's a good. I like that. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with I forget what, I don't even know what the next week's race is. Is it Azerbaijan, Baku? I think it is.
I
Yeah, just
mean, yes.
yes. Okay.
So
We'll be
in
back
the
for.
arid
We'll be
desert.
back. Yeah, I hate getting Baku. Anyways, we'll be back next week, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Mm. Oh shit, where is the